everybody in the room knows Anna and I, but if not, you'll get an introduction there too. I'll start and then I'll send it to Anna. Anna, do you want me to wait while you get it queued in? So, thank you for coming, first of all. I'm so excited to be having in-person meetings again. Let's have a hand for that. Wake ourselves up. Oh my goodness. That COVID bug has been too much for me to handle. And look, I'm still wearing my mask when I go to big crowded places and all, but I've been taking a chance here or there. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. I'm Gwen Richard, the Community Development Director here at the Acadiana Center for the Arts. Been here going on 17 years, y'all. I cannot believe it's been that long. What? It's just amazing to me. I administer grants that are state, local, and privately funded. We have an outreach program, which is wonderful because Anna really spearheads a lot of that, and she works with me with grants. And so it's just been amazing. It's been a great ride. For those of you who don't know, I am also a visual artist, an art therapist, and a floral designer retired. I love flowers, and my flowers inspire me to paint. So there you go. I'm going to let Anna introduce herself, and then I'm going to kind of point to you at the table if you don't mind. It's good to know who your hosts are.
I've been in the wars individual artists, but I think we really love to collaborate with organizations as well because artists are collaborating. And I do a lot of professional development for artists here at SBA and a lot of outreach. So if you have any questions, please come to me. My background is in film and media. I've done it for a while, but
it's okay. We're so happy to have Anna. How many of you knew when I had no Anna back then, huh? I know, right? I had part-time help, which was like wonderful, but this is my colleague and we are partners in crime and we share everything. It's wonderful.
On our website or other people online, so we might have some questions.
Oh, good, good. And welcome to the people online. Welcome to the people online. Okay, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and who are you?
I'm Charisma Marian Liu. I'm on the board of the Looking Glass Theater. I'm a theater artist here. And, yeah.
Awesome.
Hi there, I'm Daniel Lavero. I'm the executive director at CK Desar. Been there 9 years, and I'm also an actor and among other things. Today, carpenter. So.
He's an amazing actor. One of the very first plays I saw him in when he first came on just blew me away. It's wonderful.
Hi, everybody. I'm Grant Dermody. I'm a musician and co-founder of Blown Away on the Bayou, a music blues harmonica summit out in Sunset.
Nice, welcome.
And I am Jim Phillips, and how would I describe myself? I'm creating a cultural artistic compound, and I'm a very mature but emerging artist. And
I love that. I love that description. Very mature but emerging artist. I'll have to remember that.
Hello, everyone. Lori Linton, interim executive director at the Children's Museum of Acadiana, where I've been for about going on 9 years now. So I'm really excited to be here and meet everyone.
Thank you for coming.
And I'm John McBride. I'm the executive director for Tesh Center for the Arts in Brobridge. I'm a lawyer by trade, but I've much preferred the arts world to the legal institutions.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Brenda Andrews, and I'm one of the founders of the 4A Sisters Lupus organization here in Lafayette.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Patty Roberts, Vice President of the County Art Association. I'm also the Acadian Parish Talented Visual Arts Instructor. There's just one of us. So.
Awesome. Patty's been doing art for a long time in Acadiana.
Hi, I'm Brandon Davis. I founded the local fanzine Redneck Scene, and it's starting to really branch out into possible podcasts and different mediums where local artists can really express like what they're doing in the community.
Nice. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Malaya Bokal, and I work with PASA on the administrative court.
Nice. Nice.
I'm Jackie Long with Papa and.
Sir?
Charles Porter, I'm a retired judge. Work with, I'm the chairman of the Bunk Johnson Jazz Arts and Heritage Festival. And what else?
A lot of stuff.
Little writing and some acting.
Lots of community service. Lots of community service.
And Phil Lamar, I'm a retired teacher, 52 years teaching music in the school system, and 22 at UL. I taught the class History of Creole and Black Music, founder and director of the Acadiana Ecumenical Choir / Gospel Music Workshop in America.
Nice. Nice. Thank you.
Cindy Axtell, I am the founder of Do DMV Creative, which is a thrift store for artists, basically.
Awesome. Awesome. A fun place. Y'all, this is wonderful. Thank you again for coming. What we're going to do today, this is called an information session. Hello, come on in. We're just introducing ourselves. If you could just say who you are, it'd be great.
I'm Chris Andrews, Brenda's brother,
Awesome.
and also a local musician by the name of Uncle Paul.
Thank you, Uncle Paulie. Can you sign in for us? Give him a sheet of paper. Where'd y'all do with the paper? Oh, there you go. Thank you for coming. So what we're doing is we're calling this an information session because Anna's wisdom, actually. Someone said something? No. Oh, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Anna's wisdom in calling it an information session because really, we're not going to go line by line through the application. What this is, the reason that we're doing this is to prepare you to complete your application as well as possible. Well is not the best word, but we want you to complete your application using the guidelines as a reference. So we're going to kind of go through that. I put one at each of your spots. We want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what the expectations of this grant program is. Okay? So we're going to go through it quickly, not so quickly, but quickly enough so that we can open the door for conversation and questions later. Remember, this is a competition, so you don't kind of want to give away exactly what it is that you're going to be doing with your grant project, but if you have some generic general questions about how to complete these forms and this application and just the process in general, this is the place to ask. All right, so let's get started. And I'll have to look backwards a little. The Louisiana Project Grant Information Session. This is for funding year 24. Thank you, welcome. Here's Michael. We are in 2023. So the way it goes, the session or the cycle starts 2023 and it ends in 2024. That's why you'll see 2024 on there. Where am I pointing this? It's not going. We have to stand over here. Okay. So the Louisiana Project Grant is a statewide program funded by the Louisiana Division of Arts for all of our Acadiana parishes, and it's administered by the funded by the Louisiana Division of the Arts, administered by the Acadiana Center for the Arts. Sorry about that. For all of our 8 parishes. Okay. Thanks. So Region 4 is Acadia, Evangeline, Iberia, Lafayette, St. Martin, St. Landry, St. Mary, and Vermilion. Every once in a while, someone will say, what about Jefferson Parish? No, we just don't serve those parishes. The state has 9 regional arts councils, which we are one of, that cover every parish. So if you're from a parish that's not listed there, you cannot apply for this grant. Or if you're domiciled, I'll say.
You can apply through a different regional office.
Not if you're from another region. No.
If you're from a different parish, you can apply through a different region.
Right, that's what I said just a second ago. That's right. You have to find somebody else. Okay, next. So the vision of the LPG program is to encourage the expansion of artists for the arts, to stimulate public participation in the arts in Louisiana, to support established arts institutions, to nurture emerging arts organizations and cultural economy, to assist artists, individual artists. Next slide. The program goals are to be impactful to the community, right? To have local need, to show some sort of local need, like why are you trying to do this project? To foster diversity, equity, and inclusion, very important. To make sure that artistry is being showcased and that there is creativity and innovation in your project. To encourage professional artists to produce works of art. To make sure that community involvement is evident, that there are collaborations, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and to leverage local and national support for the arts. The collaborations really are within the parishes. Before, if you remember, it was a parish by parish competition, but now you actually can work with other organizations in different parishes as long as they're in Region 4. So the program's priorities. These are the categories that are eligible: dance, design, folk life, literary arts, media arts, music, theater, visual arts. It's also multi-discipline arts and interdisciplinary arts. Forgot to type that in there, sorry about that. The this accounts for our regional population and promotes DEIA. So they want to make sure that the people that are the constituents of the parishes are represented. And they want to make sure that there's a focus on learning and quantitative measurable outcomes. Be great. Want to make sure that there's a cross-parish partnership between urban and rural counterparts whenever possible. Doesn't have to happen. You can work independently, individually, on your own application, with your own organization, or with an artist with just that organization. But if you find that you have some similarities to another organization, or there's another organization that has things that they wanted to do with you in collaboration, it's wonderful. Projects with trajectory to enhance regional activities or whatever beyond the funding period. So basically, what we're saying is, don't think about it just as that time frame between 2024 and 2023 and 24. Think about something that could be long lasting, long term. Like, for example, if somebody does a really wonderful public art piece, a sculptural piece outside of wherever, that will be there for a long time. So let's think about maintenance and keeping it up, and making sure that it's still very important to the community, and it's important to you, and it looks nice. So the funding period, like we just said, was 2023 to 2024, but it starts October 1st and it goes to September 30th. The deadline is Friday, June 30th, 2023, online by 5 p.m. That's a hard deadline. Please don't call and say, oh, I was working on it for the last hour and I lost it. Please do it in advance. Anna is wonderful with helping with technical difficulties. Gwen is not, but I'm wonderful with content. She's wonderful with content too. But we can also, I can do some things with the computer, but it's not our system. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So you have to request between $2,500 and $7,500, $7,500. That's the range. If you put in an application that's less than 2,500, we're not going to even consider it. I know that sounds crazy, but that's kind of the rules, right? So you have to have a cash match. For a long time, if you remember, the decentralized arts funding program did not require a cash match. At some point it did, and then it stopped and it didn't anymore. But now this does require a cash match, and it's to demonstrate community involvement and commitment to the project. Very important. We want to make sure that you have skin in the game. That's pretty much it. And so, next screen. This is where your cash match can come from. It says allowable matching funds must be carefully defined. So you have to kind of say where it's coming from. Membership, it can come from ticket sales from your organization or something like that. Use for costs allowed under the grant guidelines. So whenever you're saying, okay, I have a cash match, but if it's not going towards the project, then it's not a cash match. It has to have some relevance to the activity that you're asking money for. And the ineligible sources, state funds from any other state source, funds used for state-owned facilities or equipment purchases, state facility salaries, administrative costs from state institutions, funds from the National Endowment for the Arts, or in-kind contributions. None of those things can be used for match. So what's new? Yes, Michael.
Foundation.
Yes, if it's a different foundation. It's just, they don't want double dipping on state funds because this is a state grant. Yes, you can use your own cash if you want out of pocket, any funds that come from or are generated from your organization, or another grant. You could, any other grant program. It just can't be a state program.
The in-kind.
I didn't have in-kind up there, but I'll talk about it. So in-kind is great. In-kind is, thank you for saying that. In-kind is something, what? Oh, at the bottom. I thought you meant what is in-kind, sorry.
Ineligible, so.
Right, in-kind contributions, yeah, thank you. Yes, George?
So, you stand on like cost of allowable lines. So let's say,
Food is not an eligible expense. Yeah.
A list in the guidelines of what is eligible, like it goes in much more detail than what is.
Yeah, and actually the next slide, I think it was either the next slide or not that one, but there's another one coming down that says, and the reason being is that food with the state just is never eligible. It just is not. Okay, next. So new eligible applicants can apply for up to 2 project grants this cycle. That's wonderful. Yes.
Vacations that you all are expecting funds.
No. 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 We will have, for the last, I would say last 10 years, this region has received $98,280 to give out consistently. When there was a redistricting, I can never say it, of the constituents in all of our legislators' areas, then we actually lost money. And so we're at 96 and some change. I can't remember what the change is. It's close to 97,000. So it really didn't make that big of a difference as far as the disbursement of funds, but no. So the reason why I believe the state did this, I think it's twofold. One, there are some regions that don't have a lot of applicants. So they wanted to make sure that the money was actually being spent. And then the second is we have to show cause for this program. And we need to show the legislators, we need to show all of our politicians and the people that are making decisions about money that we have these actual projects that need funding. Because if you remember when you do your final report, if you've done this program before, the final report asks, how much money did you spend on this project in total? And then how much money did we give you? And those figures are actually put into this program in the statewide kind of system. And we understand that millions of dollars are being spent, you know, on art, but they're only giving out $1 million, you know, 1 million for the entire state, which is not enough. So anyway, the good news is you can apply for 2 projects. They have to be 2 totally different projects though. Cannot be the same project. It can be the same organization, even the same group. If you're collaborating with other people, you can do that, but it cannot be the same project. It also cannot be an operational grant. So what does that mean? It won't go for what the operations or general, well, not general, what was it called before? It wasn't called operation, organizational grant. That's what it was called before. We, at that time, we had salaries and rent and all these different things that you could apply for. However, with a project grant, if you have a need to rent a space to put it on, or if you have if your insurance is going to be like through the roof kind of thing, and well, I don't like to use insurance. Insurance is terrible, but let's say you need to pay a contract person to come in to do something, you can actually use that money in that way. So it's not the exact same way as the operations or the organizational support grant, but you can still have some salaries mixed in there for people that aren't necessarily on your payroll. Okay, yeah.
Can it be used the same day of the event, the two grants?
Oh, yeah, well, is it two projects though, if it's the same day? If it's the same day in two different areas, let's say two different parishes going on at the same time, possibly. We could look into a little more. We're gonna, what we're doing here is kind of skimming the surface of the details that's in front of you. So we can dig a little deep, and this is new. So, you know, Anna and I are always cautious about the new stuff coming on. We want to make sure that we're interpreting it properly from the state of Louisiana, and we're doing our due diligence. Okie dokie. So who may apply? 501c3 organizations, public schools, school boards, government agencies. And at the bottom, it says individuals and organizations or entities lacking status, but you can go through a fiscal agent. What that means, lacking status, is that if you're not a 501c3, you're an individual artist or individual person, or an organization that does not have it even, you can partner with a 501c3 and they can become your fiscal agent. We're going to talk about. You're 501c3. You can raise your hand. 501c3, 501, yeah, almost everybody. All right, so also chapter organizations. So if you're a chapter organization, you may apply using federal group tax exempt status of the central organization. If the central organization is domiciled in Louisiana, they're eligible to apply for grant funds. So, you know, like Delta, AKA, you know, anybody that has, it could be a business organization. If they have a chapter organization that is that would like to apply, as long as they're domiciled here, it's cool. Next. So how do I access the application? Submittable. How many, I love the show of hands of how many people have used our Submittable already? That's the online. Okay, cool. Thank you. Come on in. Welcome. Sign in and come in. So Submittable has not changed drastically. Hopefully every year the state is revamping it to make it a little more user-friendly. That's the goal. That's the dream. And actually, I'd like to see a show of hands of how many people, you know, I've been here almost 17 years. How many people were here with me through the paperwork, all the binders and the papers? So also a show of hands of how much better is the Submittable. Yes, indeed. So much better. So online really has its challenges sometimes, but for the most part, it's a really easy program once you get into it. You have to give yourself an account, you have to create an account, but once you do that, you have total access to it.
You go to opportunities, it is under four organizations, even though there's for individual items as well, compared to the four organizations. But Louisiana project grant right here. Yeah, well.
If you're gonna apply for two, do you have two accounts?
Yeah, you have to do one account, two applications.
One account and
two applications.
And so that link, the the button that says apply now will redirect you to where you need to go. And it's just this first one here, it'll take you through everything.
Does that mean that you show two different,
Passwords? No, one password, one user name. Two different, you can have two different projects. One organization can have two different projects.
And the matching funds?
Yes, good question. So matching funds, yes. Each application has to have its own matching funds, each project. So you can't just use the same matching funds because you're already utilizing them on one grant. So you have to have a different source for the second the second application, different matching funds. All right? So before you begin, we want you to think about a lot of things. I'm not even going to really look at that. I'm just going to talk. So we want you to read through the guidelines. We want you to make sure that you're familiar with what's going on with the goals, the priorities, with all the stuff, the vision, the things we looked at before. Those are very important because this is why the state would like to give you money. That's how I look at it. Whenever I was writing grants a long time ago, I had an opportunity to talk with the person that's writing the grant, administering the grant. I had an opportunity to look at the guidelines, had an opportunity to make sure that it was relevant to what's going on. And when I didn't do that, I found my grants weren't as good. It's like you have to utilize all the things you need to make it strong. You have to make sure that if you're going to collaborate with someone, do that early. Do it really early. Talk about what it is that you'd like to do, what you're trying to accomplish for your community, and what it is that that person that you're collaborating with is trying to accomplish. Have all these conversations before you ever put your fingers on the keys to type this application. Make sure that it's realistic, that your goals are realistic, and that your budget is relevant to what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to do. Make sure that when you're working through this thing, this wonderful thing, that you have enough time. Give yourself enough time. Don't wait. I had a lawyer one time, and nothing against lawyers, Jeannie. I love lawyers. One of my best friends, and one of this man right here is a lawyer. We have to, you have to not look at this as, oh, I'm intelligent, I can do this and get it done, and you did it like that day of. You can't. There's so much preparation to be done and so much that you need to think through before you start. Think about supplementals. I don't have that written down there, but supplementals are actually extra things that will help us to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish, or it's the things that you've already accomplished that are relevant to what it is that you're trying to do. So you can show us magazine clippings, newspaper clippings of things that were accomplished by your organization. You can get letters of support. You can have different articles, maybe. It might be a brochure about your organization. Anything that shows and gives credibility to your organization. Make sure that your plan is flexible. So this is going to be in here another time, but you may not get funded totally. You may ask for $7,500 twice, and you might get $4,000 on one and $3,000 on the other. Just be prepared to be flexible. And remember, when you're being flexible, we're not asking you to totally change the scope of your project, just modify it. You just want to make sure that it's still a very doable thing, even if you get less funds than you than you asked for. And then proofread, call us. Just things to remember. Next slide, Anna. So who's eligible for this, right? So everybody sitting in the room is probably eligible, but there's some little things that could keep you from being eligible. You have to be in good standing with the state. That's so simple. It's a little simple application, doesn't cost much. It's just renewal every year. Every year, I think you have to renew that thing. And so go online and do it before Anna and I can cut a check for you. You have to have be in good standing. Before we even accept your application for eligibility, we check and it has to be in good standing. And then the state will check too. And believe me, they will contact us and say, we can't give this particular organization anything because they're not in good standing. You have to have an EUI number. EUI numbers took the place of the DUNS. Remember the DUNS number? All it is a number that the federal government uses to identify organizations that you can obtain on this website, www.sam.gov. It's not hard at all, super easy. If you have trouble with that, even I can walk you through it. So try that. Fiscal agent, we talked about that, the fiscal agent sub-applicant. If you don't have the credentials to be a standalone applicant, then you have to get with someone who's a 501c3, remember? But your 501c3 has to assume the responsibility for the legal and fiscal management of funds granted for use by the sub-applicant. So let's talk about that for a minute, because that's been a little bit of a sticking point sometimes. So if you're going to act as a fiscal agent for an individual person, individual artist, another organization that does not have the status, you are financially responsible because that check is coming to the name of the organization that is the applicant, which would be the 501c3. The sub-applicant, the artist, is going to be paid from the 501c3 to not pay them directly, but paid for the providers of services, for the equipment, for the supplies, whatever it is, to put the actual project on. So that money flows from us to the 501c3. The 501c3 pays out the bills or gives money to the artists or gives the physical checks to the artist or the individual to pay the people. But those checks have to be written from the 501c3's account. All right. Please don't write it from your personal accounts and then come back and say, oh, but I wrote from my personal. That's happened understandably. It's confusing, not a problem. We can fix a lot of things, but that one's a hard one to fix. And if you're writing a check, you know, it comes back to the bank in these little bitty mini, you know, photos that you can send to us when you're doing your final report. So just kind of keep tabs of all your receipts and all your things, especially the little mini checks. We'll talk about that after y'all get funded. So ineligibility, let's look at that. If you're a line item organization, getting support from the state legislature, then you can't apply for this grant. Again, it's like the state making sure that there's enough money to go around to everyone. And if you're already receiving funds and you don't need it from this, not for the same project. And if you're a regional arts council, like the Acadiana Center for the Arts, we are a regional arts council. We cannot apply for this grant because our job is to administer the grant and give the money to the local arts and culture organizations, schools, school boards, government agencies, and individuals using a fiscal agent, right? So that money is not ours to keep. It's just a pass-through. Non-compliant pass recipients. The reason why Anna and I have compliance meetings after you're awarded is to make sure that we can go through all of the steps and everything that's needed to make your time through this grant program the most that it can be and the most accurate that it can be, and that you're the most accountable to grant funds and making sure that you're taking good care of the project and showing good stewardship, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So compliance is really important. Non-compliant could be that you didn't turn in your paperwork on time for the final report, something like that. So just know that you can come to us, you can talk to us about your project or any little hiccups you might have along the way, long before the deadline. If you're not in good standing with the state of Louisiana or the Louisiana Legislative Auditor, then you have to get that fixed before you even apply. So check it yourself. It's really easy. And if you need a website link, we can send that to you, but it's super easy. If you just type in Louisiana Secretary of State, you can find it. And if you don't have that UEI number we just talked about, we have to have that in order for you to apply as well. Next.
Make sure line up. Like we received money from the state last year. Make sure line.
So right now, what? Sure. So did you get a general operations money? Because that's different. The general operations grant is just another grant from Louisiana Division of the Arts. That's different. They're talking about if you're like, I don't really have the line items from the state memorized, but I know here. So let's use Lafayette Consolidated Government grants. We have the Festival International as a line item on LCG's, you know, every year it's already there. They don't have to apply. So you would be considered a line item if it's not an application, a grant application that you would have to fill out for the state. It's something that's already in their books that they're going to be giving you money on a regular basis, on an annual basis. So, and if you're not sure if you are, then you can let me know and I'll check, or you can check with them directly too. Good question. Next. So project ineligibility. It says, please read requirements for the LPG program and note the specific items that are ineligible for funding. So go to the next page, but I would love for everybody just to kind of peruse through here because there's no way I was going to write all that down. It's a lot. So these are some of the things that I've found over the years have been problematic. So one is operating costs not directly associated with the project. So if you have a particular project, your project is to have a band at one of your festivals. So that's great, that's eligible, but then you can't come back and say, oh, we decided to build a skateboard ramp and we're gonna have kids going up and down the skateboard. Well, no, it's not gonna work. It has to be an art project, right? It has to be the creation of new works of art, workshops, some kind of professional development dealing with arts that will impact the community or your staff in such a way that it helps the project. It can all be related to the project, but it has to be very specific. Programming associated with an organization's regular programmatic schedule. So let's say, oh, we want to have professional development for our organization on a regular basis. We want the executive director to go somewhere and learn how to be an executive director. Well, no, that's kind of your responsibility. That's not an art project. But if you wanted someone that's teaching a painting class to be more proficient in it, and you thought, oh, we can send them to be mentored with this person, they can come back, teach this class, we can have a big exhibit afterwards, a gallery show, blah, blah. See, it's all related to the project. So it has to be, you know, some things are flexible, but some things just aren't. Food and beverage, George, there's your food and beverage, can't do it. And expenses outside the granting period, it has to be within that granting period. And activities that occur, oh, I did it twice? No, it's expenses and it's activities, two different things, right? So the activities can't happen outside the funding period, but expenses can't either. So meaning, let's say that band we talked about, you might pay them up front before a deposit, that's fine, as long as it takes place October 1st until September 30th. You have to have that actual concert or activity or festival has to take place within that period. But you can't go back and say, oh, well, we paid them, you know, it took place on September 3rd, we paid them October 1st of 2024. You know, that can't happen because it's outside the funding period. You won't be able to be refunded because with this grant, you get the first 75% up front and then the last 25% is reimbursable. So the last 25% that is reimbursable will not be reimbursed to you if you go outside the funding period. Okay, next one. So this is just about the grant panel. So the grant panel is made up of usually 5 people from our Acadiana community. It's your peers. It's other artists, it's other arts and culture organization leaders. It can be lawyers, doctors, bankers, can be patrons of the arts. So we were very particular about choosing our panelists because we want to make sure that DEIA is also incorporated in there, that we have a good representation of our community culturally, and especially with arts disciplines being recognized. We look at the applications, honestly, in advance of choosing our panelists. If we have a heavy media pool of applicants or heavy visual arts, and we make sure we at least have one person on the panel that can speak to that, that's very familiar with that. We do not match up our panelists with people that are applying to our knowledge. But we're hoping that the people that are acting as our panelists are familiar with your organizations, what you're doing. The whole point of having panelists from this region is because we want to make sure that they're very comfortable and that they're very familiar with what it is that you're doing. It helps us to be able to not guess or make assumptions, because when they're reading through your applications, they have to go by what's written on paper, but they're also humans, so they're going to go by what's in their heads too. They've gone to that festival like we just talked about with the band playing this. Oh yeah, I had a great time there. They did a great job. It's just what we do, right? So we have criteria that the panelists are looking for. The panelists are making sure that they've read this guideline packet before they ever come to the panel meeting, before they ever read the first application. We ask them to really strongly look at the artistic merit, the need and impact, the plan and design and administration and budget of each application individually. We also ask them to not compare one application to the other. So don't think that they're sitting there saying, oh, I really liked what Bunk is doing, but I know that, you know, the Whirlybirds are doing something similar. But no, we ask them to look at each application individually and to judge it or to critique it, let's say, based on its own merit. Those points are very important. You want all of those points, y'all. You want absolutely all of those points. You want as many of them as you can get. And it's really not that difficult if you follow the directions that's on those applications, because it really is very direct, and it asks you, like on the one that says the artistic merit, it'll say who, what, when, where, why. Tell us who is who's applying for this, who's the application coming from, when is this activity happening, why are you doing it? You know, it's all, if you kind of look at the question on the narratives really closely and almost rewrite a lot of what's on there, you're going to have a better, more comprehensive answer that people can read and discern and go through. Thank you, Anna. So note this, it is possible that projects will not be fully funded. Therefore, it is important to consider additional sources of funding. Be prepared to adjust your project if needed. So we talked about that kind of in between my slides a little bit, you know, here or there. But the thing that's important about this is know that it's okay. We have something called a project change form. It's attachment A with the state, and then attachment B is changing your budget a little bit to adjust to those project changes that you made. So that's not a big deal. As long as it's in keeping with the original application, not a big deal. Remember, we will review your application draft and provide comments to help you strengthen your grant proposal prior to the deadline. A one-on-one assistance, we love it. We love to talk to you. We love to understand what it is that you're trying to do. It's good to just have a conversation with us if you just want to flesh something out. We're not going to, okay, Anna's looking at me like, okay, Gwen, you do it all the time. We're not going to suggest your project to you. I do it all the time. I don't want to, but it just happens. But if you have an idea for a project, we might suggest a little something here that it might make it a little more competitive, make it a little easier to understand, but really, honestly, you have to come in knowing what your project is going to be, or at least have 2 or 3 options. Is, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, this, or this. What do you think? And then we can hear you, we listen to you, and we'll make suggestions. We're not going to write down anything on the draft. You can email us a draft of this application from Submittable. You could definitely email us a draft. But we're not gonna write on it. We're gonna have a phone conversation with you or in person if you want to come in. And we'll make suggestions and maybe advise you on certain things. But we can't write it because we don't want to be accused of writing someone else's app. And if I write yours and not yours, then you mad at me because he got it.
And just make sure you get those drops in 2 weeks deadline. After that.
Excellent point, Anna. We have to add that to the PowerPoint. Absolutely. Because they come in order and we review them in order. What'd you say, Michael?
It's a good deadline.
Mhm.
Traffic. 2 weeks.
So, yeah, I think the deadline is the 30th, or whatever the Friday is.
Yeah, so
2 weeks before that.
it's the 30th of June. Mhm. Yeah. There you go.
You're saying. Yeah, several of these.
No, this is,
This is the
mhm.
people. that-
Yeah, but the good news is you can call at any time. No. Oh, you mean people? Yes. We will. Oh, yeah. Yeah, anybody can apply. It's not mandatory that you attend this and all it applies. Is that what you're asking? I thought you were asking, we can have another meeting. No, this,
That was basically.
yeah,
Because we asked, we just say possible, deadline, or hard line to turn it in.
Oh, yeah.
It's Friday,
yeah.
30, But every day there can be hundreds of people. Flying.
I wish. No, this region does not have hundreds of applications. We have on average of 30 to 40, sometimes 40. We haven't had 40 in a long time. We used to, at one time we had 60 apps, which was wonderful. But that was back in the day when we had $333,341 to give out. Jackie, I know you remember those days.
I remember when they were.
Yes, and George, I know you remember when every application, you could apply for 2 applications. We had 3 categories and it was $10,000 each. That was sweet. I love that. That was riding on a high, but it's not like that anymore. And the reason why we're going to keep applying and keep getting these great projects funded is to show the people on the Hill, we need that money. We need it. We need more money to do more things. Yes, Jackie.
I would just like to say that we did have $4.2 million in state funding for grants that was distributed both in statewide grants and to that program. And the reason we don't have it is because we're not organized as a statewide arts community. We got that money after 14,000 classes were sent. And because Kathleen Blanco was the governor
Mhm.
and Evan Evans did become it. We don't have that. We don't have those people there, and we also don't have the organization. Despite the fact that we have more technology, like how many people knew when Arts Day at the state council? I knew because I asked on April 5th, and I got an answer 21 days later. And could I go? No. So there's no organization. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we don't have leadership for a squeaky wheel. So I would say you apply for a grant, and then we started grassroots movement. We tried a couple of years ago, and again, at that same time, our state happened in capital, and I never heard about it. We campaigned it, we did it in 1996, we went from having $0 for state arts grants and 0 funding for to having $4.2 million. $1 for every person in the state was what the funding.
It was great. And you know what? I'm so glad you said that too, Jackie, because arts advocacy is real. It's a thing. And so all of our 9 regional arts councils, the executive directors have started meeting again to talk about ways to entice and encourage arts advocacy throughout the state so that we could do just what you're saying. Mhm.
The arts day at the Capitol didn't tell anyone.
I think I feel like that was a teacher's thing. No, it wasn't. It was ours. No.
I have to, Sam eventually replied to me and he gave me a teacher's email address.
Yeah. Yeah, because they went recent. But anyway, we can talk about that another time, because when we have a meeting, and we will have a meeting about arts advocacy, I want y'all all to come, okay? Mm-hmm,
If like our organization, I want to partner with the city
mm-hmm.
for a big project. Will y'all give to one project from two organizations? Or should we focus our application on one of this? Because we're partnering.
No, if you're partnering, it could be one project, and the money would have to go through one organization, though.
If we both apply, only one's gonna get it anyway.
Right, but to apply for two different organizations to apply for the same grant, it would be stronger to apply together. But only one of the organization would be the applicant, and the other one could be the sub-applicant even, or just. Yeah, I mean, you don't have, like, the city can apply on its own, and you can apply on your own. So it really is not like that. It could just be Tesh Center for the Arts applying, and the city is a partner or a collaborator on the project. Now, if the city had another version of this thing, whatever it is, let's say it's another component that they could really show as a separate project, then they could, but then you would be competing. It doesn't.
So one of us fronts the matching.
Yeah, it is, because it's all on one application. Like, we remember. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you call it a partnership. And you do it, let me put this down. You do it as a partnership, and the city and you are working together, Tesh, working together. The application match comes from wherever. So it's fine. That's fine. Let's see. So let's talk about DEIA. So the Louisiana Division of the Arts, the Acadiana Center for the Arts, we aspire to intentionally, that word intentionally. I want everybody to really think about that, because sometimes it's just so easy to just do same old, right? And it's not that I don't believe that anyone in this room or anyone that I work with throughout arts and culture is intentionally leaving people out, but we're not intentionally making sure everybody's coming in. I think if you look at your region, it's very rich and culturally. If you look at your individual parish or your city, the organization you have, examine it. Think about your board. Is your board made up of all one ethnicity? I can never say the word. Is your board made up of all the same age range people? Is your board made up of all artists that only do one particular thing, and your organization does multiple things? Think of diversity in more ways than just race. It's not just race. It's about gender. It's about age. It's about multiple disciplines of art. It's about a bunch of different things. So if you start kind of breaking it down, your organization will be richer for it, because you'll be showing that your constituents, the population that's in your area, is being represented. And that's what we're working for. So best of luck to you all. Best of luck. I'm ready for questions. Anna's ready for questions. Anna loves it. Y'all, I keep using this as the thank you at the end, but this is iPal. And I went to that play, and it was just amazing. It just looks like they're so open armed and welcoming. And so I want y'all to know that Anna and I are open armed and welcoming to you. And we want your feedback. We want your ideas, and we want to help you to be the best that you could be at your grant. Real quick, I'm going to take a photo of y'all, because before everybody start moving around, because it's a nice group. Look at that. Y'all smile or something. I'm gonna do one more from the corner, because that didn't work. All right. Hey, y'all. Y'all wave at me one time. Something, let's show some movement. All right. So any questions? Anna, did I leave anything out that you feel like we need to touch on? Yes. Okay, y'all, let's hear the question. Mhm. Excuse me, wait, George. We got a question on the stage. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're gonna have a mix and mingle afterwards real quick. Go ahead. Yes, not secured, just documented. Yes, just documented. Yeah. Yeah, not secured, documented. Yeah, we have to, everything, think of the applications, everything is hypothetical, really. You're proposing to do everything that's on there. When we apply for grants and we say we're going to use our membership fees towards our match, we really don't know how many people are going to sign up to be members, but we're hoping, anticipating that 100 will, so it can help us with our match. And if-
100 doesn't.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, you know, dream big.
Charles had a good question. He said, say it out loud one more time.
What if 100 does not show up?
Right. So what if you banking on your membership fees and 100 people are required in order to make that membership fee be your match and they don't show up, then you can get it from another source. You can pull it out your pocket. You can say, oh, we had this concert that had a little extra money in it, move that money over. That will be evident in our, as you go along, we have that attachment A I was talking about in attachment B. You don't really need to put all that. It will be evident at the end with your final report. The only thing you use attachment A and B for, which is the project changes, is for any drastic change. You know, any, like, if you're going to have a series and you have 12 series that you're saying that you're going to do, but something happens, somebody broke a toe, something, whatever, and now you're down to like 5. Well, yeah, we need to know that you're doing only 5. Or it wasn't enough money. You asked for $7,500 to do this 12 series, and that's not enough because now you've gotten 5,000. So you have to cut back a little. We need to know that, just so the anticipation of, oh, I'm going to this site visit, but it's, you know, number 8 is not there because you didn't have enough money to do it. Yes.
Grant. And it happens,
Mm-hmm.
can you apply next year or you have to wait?
Yes, this grant opportunity is every year, which is awesome. You don't have to wait out. We have some other programs. I was going to tell you a little bit about those other grants, and I was going to tell you about another program that we have to give some information. But we have other grants like the Jean Bro Awards, which is for high school and college kids that are emerging artists looking for support to go to ballet class in Michigan or something like a music class somewhere also, just to have mentors. Then we have the Courtney Granger Memorial Award, which is new. And that's particularly for music and young people from 12 to, we have it to 18, but it might go a little higher, to be able to go to a weight camp for music camp or to get have tutorship from a mentor. And then we have the Art Spark. And Art Spark is for individual artists from 18 up, or is it 21? 18 and up, I forget it. And then, so we have all these other programs that if you apply, you have to sit out, like Art Spark, you have to sit out 2 cycles.
You are not eligible for
Yeah. Right, we don't want you to apply and waste your time that year, but I'd say yes, every 2 years. So, and Jean Bro, you have to sit out 1 year, I believe.
if you receive the grant.
Right, only if you receive the grant. That's right. Okay. Michael,
Kind of from a university perspective in this, there's a ton of other ineligible things on our list.
yes, a lot,
And one operational cost to university.
right.
So would I have to, in my grant, make a point of saying that the university provides no money for this exhibition?
Mhm. No, what it's saying is you can't use those funds towards operational costs. Like you can't use the grant funds that we give you towards the operational costs. Your cost for your exhibit is your cost for your exhibit. That's all eligible. Like if you need to hire a preparator for the walls and stuff like that. Basically, it's just saying that it doesn't pay for college expenses, school, high school, nothing that has to do with the regular budget.
And then the other question I had was, so high school, college, or university faculty position. So I looked at that and then I looked at it this morning, I was like, oh, they're just talking about you can't do faculty exhibitions. You
Mhm.
can't promote your own employees, some of that is.
Mhm. Have fun with your exhibit.
Yes, so as a faculty member, you cannot provide exhibition.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then would they emphasize, and I think I saw this, that this is something new? I'm sure a lot of us get projects we do during the year out, and we're like, hey, this would be perfect to support that.
That's fine. Especially if it's something that's never been, you've never used before for a grant, that's fine. Even if it's something that you've used before, like we've had, I'll use Festival International, yeah, there you go.
The thing is that the festival, the programming is different every year.
Mhm.
The context is different.
Right. It's okay to do that. And be specific when you're writing and let the panelists know, because what we do, we have 5 panelists, but we always have at least one returning panelist from, it couldn't have been, it may have not been from the previous year, it may have been from 2 or 3 years. But I like to have someone in there that's kind of seasoned. Anna loves the new fresh people coming in. So together we make sure we have 5 people that are all there, yeah, that can represent, you know. Any more questions? Any good generic questions? Y'all have been awesome. I hope this answered. Yes?
One more, can you hire?
Oh, you want,
You can hire people for their service,
absolutely.
like a juror.
Like a what?
A juror.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Pay the juror.
Yes, yes. And anything that's related to the grant itself, that the activity, the project, it's called a provider of services. Don't go yet. Anna wants to say 1 or 2 quick things about what's coming up.
Session holding on Sunday at noon. Unfortunately,
I know.
Workshop for individual artists and freelancers and anyone who has trouble accessing healthcare. Kathy Richard will be presenting some information on how to access healthcare as a freelancer and as a cultural worker. That will be at noon on Sunday at 2 p.m. Really recommend coming along. She will do one consultation.
What time is it, Anna, you said? At 2 p.m., yeah.
So, you can pre-register for it, you don't have to, but, it is recommended to.
Because it's understated, you're gonna have access for future.
There will be some other events,
On this particular one, we don't call it in,
so I'm saying that this exact same here, this exact same workshop will be also, in Franklin and New Iberia in the 20 weeks as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be repeated.
The Canadian program.
Mhm.
creative with Indiana.
Yeah. On our
So I
website,
really would love to see as many people as possible there.
yeah. Y'all should definitely get to know each other. If you're not here, just some other way, you know, email, text, something. Because the collaborations that are just in this room could be amazing. It's amazing. Y'all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Yay. Now I gotta go to graduation. Now I gotta go to graduation. My grandniece is graduating
Oh,
in UL, so